Today I'm at Kingston Park, Newcastle, talking to the chair of Newcastle Thunder and Newcastle Falcons, Mick Hogan, and the CEO of England Touch, Chris Simon. We're going to be talking about the future of oval ball sports. So I'm here with Mick Hogan, chair of Newcastle Thunder and Newcastle Falcons, and Chris Simon, CEO of England Touch. Mick, I'll start with you. Interesting post-COVID what the world of rugby might look like, and in Newcastle you've got a unique situation with a professional rugby league club and a professional rugby union club.
Yeah, we do. I think we're now the only joint code club in the UK. We're certainly the only joint code club that is owned by the same organisation. So yeah, we do things a bit differently up here. It is a football area. It's a generational challenge to get both codes of rugby established, but it's one that we're taking on with some enthusiasm and some success. COVID has obviously been a bit of an obstacle for everybody, not just rugby, not just sport, but society. But we'll come round that. And actually, one of the ways we see going forward that we're going to have the biggest amount of success is with the non-contact versions of rugby. We already do it, but we plan to do a lot more.
It's interesting because you've got a bold vision for both codes of rugby. You start out to win Super League, and no doubt you want to win the equivalent of the Union. So you've got ambitious plans here, and I imagine you've got ambitious plans for the facility over the next 10 years.
Yeah, very much so. It's, on the facility, we've got planning permission for a new North Stand. That will happen in time. That's obviously been put back with what's happened. Both codes, yeah, we're in the third tier at Rugby League now, but we want to win Super League by 2030, and people look at you like you've gone mad, because most of Super League hasn't won Super League. I think there's only been 4 winners in 20 odd years of history. So to do that would be pretty ambitious, but we're not in it just to get up to the Championship and be a comfortable mid-level team. We're not in it just to get in Super League and survive. If you're in sport, you've got to be at professional level to win, and that's what we are. And on the community side as well, it's a 25-year project. It's a hearts and minds, and only when the kids that we're having interaction with today and introducing to rugby, only when they grow up and have families themselves and start to bring those kids through to rugby, will we start to see any sort of real fruits of what we've done. So it's a long-term plan. We can have some short-term successes. We've had plenty of short-term successes, but you've got to have that long-term vision, and that's what we've got.
Well, you mentioned non-contact version of rugby, which is obviously going to be a version of the sport that's going to be more popular in future. And we've got CEO of England Touch, Chris Simon here. Chris, opportunities to work with clubs such as Newcastle and grow the sport of touch?
Yeah, absolutely. As Mick said, it's a unique situation up here, and one that we're really keen to get involved in. Touch is already prevalent up here alongside League and Union, and we think it could all be so much more. And I think if all 3 codes of rugby work closely together, which we're hoping to do up here, then I think the bigger picture is much rosier for all 3 partners, and getting particularly children, but I think adults as well, involved in an oval shaped ball sport is important, and if we can do that through touch, then for us even so better.
And England Touch have got a bold vision for the future, raising standards across participation right through to performance, and developing partnerships with similar clubs as Newcastle. How do you see the sport of touch looking in the next 5 years?
So, as you said, we've got very ambitious plans. Australia has nearly 750,000 people playing touch. In this country, estimates are somewhere between 30,000 and 100,000, depending upon who you talk to and what measure you're basing it on. We certainly think we could have 500,000 people playing in England. And I think looking at touch of schools, universities, clubs, the more social club type of offer, but also workplaces and the corporate offer. I think all of those, touch could plug a gap where possibly League and Union have diminished somewhat over the last few years.
Yeah. I mean, we all love Rugby Union, Rugby League and touch. So what's important is that everyone works together to get an oval ball in young people's hands as much as possible and stop them kicking around more, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some core skills. Yeah, and you'll have heard me say before, and I think I mentioned to Mick before, that we most children pick up a ball when they're 2, they don't kick it, but our inherent nature as parents is to get them to put it on the floor and kick it. And actually, our ambition is to get them to run forwards and pass it and play with it in their hands. And I think if we can get that in from the ages, very young ages, and then through primary school and into secondary schools, I think all codes of rugby will benefit. I think there'll be more players playing league, more players playing union, and more players playing touch. And we shouldn't worry about that transition between the three different codes. There's some core skills: handling, catching, evasion, speed, agility. That they're prevalent in all three sports. And I think if we have that as a sort of forefront of rugby in general, then we'll all benefit.
I think the great thing about touch, from my point of view, is that gender and physicality and size is not an issue because it's non-contact in effect. You can play whatever size and shape you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one benefit is undoubtedly all three of us can still play. We do joke about it, but actually it is completely inclusive, and not just for everybody to play, but everybody to play on the same field at the same time. There aren't many sports in this country, or indeed globally, where you can play as a family, and that family could span 3 generations, and you can have a game in an environment. It's just like kicking a ball around the park. And we used to laugh and joke about jumpers for goalposts in football, and actually for me that's the equivalent. We can have touch playing in the park as jumpers for goalposts, and all you need is a ball and some mates, and those mates can be any age.
Well, thanks guys. Watch this space. Both codes of rugby